Welcome back to yet another extended explanation of yet another card. Today we'll be talking about solar value 22, and that is the Nine of Clubs. The Nine of Clubs is the Saturn card on the Venus line, right? So there's a Saturn-Venus conjunction. There's the loving influence of Venus, but Saturn says order and structure. Reliability, dependability in the realm of relationships. The Nine of Clubs is one of the great mental completion cards because 9 is the last single-digit card. It comes out of the 8, which has bestowed the 8, that native or on that evolutionary path, that person with great mental power. But after acquiring power, you need to let go. So 9s are the next step up from the 8. 9s are not weak people. 9s have a tremendous amount of power, but now they need to learn to let go, to sift out that which no longer serves them. And because we're talking about the club suit, we're talking about mental patterns, convictions, thought patterns, belief systems. Does this serve me any longer? And if not, bye-bye. It's about generosity. It's about a freshness that a 9 brings in once it has let go of the things that no longer serve. Constant reminder, 9 of Clubs. It's the card of universal knowledge. It speaks of endings in thought, releases of old mental constructs, and preparing space for something higher to take form. The natives are often here to wrap up ideas from previous incarnations and share deep insights through communication. So they need to learn to communicate openly, to share their thoughts, share their feelings, and not hold them to themselves. Through communication, study, or teaching, that's how the insights are being shared. It's no surprise then that their planetary spread reads like a master class in how to evolve mentally and spiritually while still remaining rooted in the human experience. Why a master class of how to evolve mentally? Because, and that's where we come to the first planet, they have a 9 of spades in Mercury. We have a 6 of clubs that has a 6 of spades in Mercury. Now we have a 9 of clubs that has a 9 of spades in Mercury. So their mind, their thought patterns are also about endings. And the 9 is the double death card. First it's a 9 of spades. First because it's a 9, and then it's because it's a spades card. They have a mind with a built-in awareness of what must end, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually too. They often think in terms of completions and transitions. They might seem a bit somber in their thought process, but it's because they're constantly scanning for what no longer serves and courageously naming it. So identify what has served its purpose, call it a name, let it go. And understand that what comes after is of a better, higher quality and is aiding you in your progress, in your evolution in life. This is someone whose thoughts often push them to outgrow outdated habits and whose words, when spoken with care, can help others do the same. It's the universal card of the universal suit. The suit of wisdom, of lifestyle. So their lifestyles come to an end. Their lifestyles are evolving and changing. So they need to let go of that as well and create a mental construct of that. Analyze their lifestyle. My better half is the 9 of clubs. And the age that she's at the moment has, or is one where she is now becoming aware of the lifestyle change that she has to make. First, because she's met me, and I'm quite a bit older than her, or I had more revolutions around the sun than her. And my life has been completely different. And I'm now reminding her of the tremendous and immense power that she's got coming from an 8 of clubs, being a 9 of clubs. And the changes that are absolutely necessary in her evolutionary path, on her journey, in order to have fulfillment, satisfaction. So that's a very important thing for the 9 of clubs, with that 9 of spades in Mercury. The 9 of clubs have a lovely card in the Venus position, and that's the 2 of hearts. You know, 9s numerologically are child energy. Very sharp mind, very direct, sometimes a little bit too direct, sharp tongue, very forgiving, not jealous. And then with that 2 of hearts in Venus, there's that union in love in the Venus position. So if they play their cards right, they can have a really loving and stable and wonderful relationship. Always with a bit of an element of risk in terms of codependency, because that's what the 2 brings with. But if handled with care and with consciousness, it's a loving and lovely energy to have in that Venus position. I mean, there are cards with far more challenging Venus cards. And here we've got the union in love. Beautiful. The Venusian heart longs for connection. And the 2 of hearts is all about the desire for perfect partnership. And I've got the funny feeling, I mean, sort of, if I speak sort of from my private life here, I think she's found that. And I have the feeling that I have found that too in her. Time will tell. But as of July 30th, 2025, that's when the video is recorded, it certainly feels like this. Here, relationships are sweet, idealistic, even romantic. There's a tenderness and sensitivity in the way this person loves, always seeking closeness and shared emotional experience. And she's very affectionate, very loving. So there's a lot of physical contact taking place here, and that is really, really nice. But this can also lead to dependency if not grounded. With the 9 of clubs as the core, this placement reminds us that intimacy must evolve. It's not about fusion, but mutual understanding. And believe you me, I'll make sure that this intimacy evolves, that it doesn't stay the same. Because then again, if we look at the evolution of the numbers, after the 2 comes the 3. So after the 2 comes the variety. And in fact, we've just created a variety who is today 12 weeks and 1 day old. So we've made sure that this intimacy evolves for the next 20 odd years. Mars brings us a lovely card. The King of Hearts, the loving father card in Mars. Could be a bit tricky because it loves the kids more than the partner, but sort of I'll make sure that the partner also gets sufficient love. But here we're talking about emotional mastery under pressure, Mars. The King of Hearts in Mars gives this person a noble protective edge. They might be quick to act when others are emotionally overwhelmed. Anger is rarely explosive here. Instead, it's often transformed into loving action. But it's also a call to personal responsibility. This person can't play small emotionally. They're here to lead with love, not run from emotional intensity. That's what the notes say. Emotional mastery. So there's it could be on the low side that there's a bit of one-sidedness, because the kings tend to be, we are not talking about the one-eyed king here. That's the King of Diamonds, which we then sort of get in Jupiter. But here in Mars, it's a king that has got 2 eyes, loving father, very loving energy, and strong convictions about that too. You know, how kids should be raised. So this is quite a forceful card in a forceful position. under Mars. But it's also the highest card in the heart stick. You know, we're talking about number 13, higher level of consciousness. They have gone through all of the heart's cards. They have arrived at the top, and they are oozing with love for their children, preferably for their partner too. I can certainly attest to that. And it's on a high side, it's really, really a very, very nice energy to be with. They take care of the kids, protecting them, but also letting them evolve because they've got the wisdom. They're not clinging to the kids. There's a very deep love and a very deep affection for the kids, but they are not strangling them, which is nice because that would be very bad. What is not bad is our Jupiter card. And as mentioned just now, we have and find here the King of Diamonds. Abundance shows in the form of authority over value. So in their life path, they are 9, they have a 9 in Mercury, but then they have this lovely Venus card and they have these very strong Mars and Jupiter cards. And Jupiter expands, Jupiter blesses, and here we find the King of Diamonds. I mean, what better card could you want under Jupiter than the King of Diamonds? Well, there could be a few alternatives, but I mean, here's the strongest, the highest card, the successful businessman. So these people could be very good in business, and not just business, but anything that is related to money, related to values. The King of Diamonds has only one eye, so he might be a bit not short-sighted, but one-eyed, but blind to certain aspects. So it needs to make sure that the other eye is also working. But there we've got strong potential for material mastery, not through chasing money, but embodying worth. And it may take some time for that 9 of clubs to grow into that space. So they reach that probably in their mid or late 30s. When they step into their power, when they realize who they are and what they have to offer. This person has a regal energy around finances, leadership, and responsibility. So you can give them the money. It's in good hands. At their best, they attract wealth through integrity, but if the inner work hasn't been done up until the early mid-30s or late 30s, they may resist their role as a steward of resources, which the 9 of clubs nudges them toward anyway. As I just said. Sort of let's handle it responsibly. And you see here that strong energy of letting go, of evolution, but then in their Mars and Jupiter period, that is from 26 to 52, they have this very, very strong, higher level of consciousness energy, and they better make the most of it. But then again, how can you if you don't know? If no one has told you before. So if you know of a 9 of clubs birthday, we're talking about the 9th of December, the 11th of November, the 13th of October. We're talking about the 15th of September, the 17th of August, the 19th of July, the 21st of June, the 23rd of May, the 25th of April, the 27th of March, and if there is, every 4 years, the 29th of February. And the 31st of January. So there's through the entire year, we've got 9 of clubs present. And this is the first card in our series where this is the case. And as we go through the other clubs and the other diamonds, you'll find that being the case too. But here again, very strong card under Jupiter. Saturn gives them a 6 of hearts. It loves 4, 8s, and 10s, not so much odd cards or the 6, but here it's a lesson in emotional balance and karmic love. The 6 of hearts brings past life echoes, karma, 6, and demands a maturity in how relationships are handled. And now, in my case, or the case with my partner, she hasn't had that before. Now she's got it. So now she will handle relationships in a mature and accountable way. This person learns through emotional consequences. If they wrong someone, it shows up fast and strong. But they also grow wise in love and often become guides for others who are learning how to give and receive fairly. And now, with me having that almost 20-year history of the Master Key system and the 10, 11-year history of Cardology, you can rest assured that she will learn all the fairness in love and the emotional consequences, and how they and I'll ensure that she grows wise in love, because I have a couple of years, or am a couple of years ahead of her. So she gets all that old man's wisdom, whether she likes it or not. Talking of liking or not, we have a clubs card in Uranus, and it's a 4 of clubs. And then the 4 of clubs is the Jupiter card in the Mars line, on the Mars line. So structure in the mental realm, but with flashes of genius. Clubs. The 4 of clubs in Uranus provides a quirky stability, someone who loves learning but needs to do it their own way. They're rebels of the mind, often feeling most alive when they're sharing their unique worldview. It's not easy being mentally rigid and revolutionary at once. Mentally rigid, 4 of clubs, revolutionary, Uranus. But this card manages to find that paradoxical groove. Their ideas challenge tradition, but they're grounded enough to be respected. And I see this in her as well. I mean, it's beautiful to talk about the 9 of clubs and have someone near and dear who has a 9 of clubs birthday. And where she approaches things differently. And she does it from a very, even at her age, from a very wise perspective. It's quite nice actually to see that, how chilled she is, how relaxed she is, and how she approaches things differently. And that I'll foster and encourage as time goes by, because then that makes her more whole and more powerful, and gives her even more confidence to step out into the world and to present to the world that which she truly has to offer. Uranus, 4 of clubs. So communication, friendships, but very stable mind. Structure in the mental realm. A quirky stability and a paradoxical groove. I quite like this. Then we come to Neptune, and Neptune gives us the 2 of diamonds. Values and dreams collide here, because the 2 of diamonds is the wheeler-dealer card, is the card of partnerships in finances. Neptune's energy or influence may cloud that and be in the way. The 2 of diamonds in Neptune points to financial partnerships that feel destined or delusional. Both sides of Neptune. This person may have idealistic views around money or shared projects, and they'll need to learn discernment. So, in other words, they need to ensure that they have clarity, the mental clarity, about who they engage with in financial partnerships or in value partnerships. The spiritual lesson is to align values with purpose, not just chase dreams, but fund what matters. Fund what matters. With the 9 of clubs at their core, it's about completing the illusions around wealth and discovering truth beneath. So, in other words, as within, so without. So first, they need to discover what they really have to offer. 9 is child energy. 9 of spades and Mercury, child energy, very undefined. They need to learn what and which projects are worth investing in, values, and which not. So in other words, which partnerships to engage in and which to rather leave aside and discard and ignore. That's what they have to learn. And when they do, then sort of the spiritual realm of Neptune rewards that positive element of that 2 of diamonds. So it could be that their value partnerships, 2 of diamonds, are related to spiritual subjects. Neptune, big dreams, big visions, healing, because it's the last planet out there and like far out in our evolutionary journey before we then return. At least that's the structure that we have created for ourselves. Once again, the Two of Diamonds needs to learn to discern who to engage with and who not. But then again, there's a Diamonds card here in Neptune. They've got a Diamonds card in Mars as well. So there is a nice blend. If I actually look at the overview, there's a 9 of Spades in Mercury, and there is no other Spades cards other than the Jack of Spades in Pluto that we'll get to in a moment. There's a King of Hearts, there's a 2 of Hearts, there's a 6 of Hearts, there's a 2 of Diamonds, there's a King of Diamonds, there's a 4 of Clubs. So it has very strong cards, but more tilted, leaning towards the heart suit with a 2 of Hearts, the King of Hearts, and 6 of Hearts. Strong love energy, but that's what they can then show to the world. And under the King of Diamonds in Jupiter, they can create tremendous value in that department. I mentioned the Jack of Spades in Pluto, and this is what we'll get to. A deep soul challenge around identity and growth. This is the card of the eternal student, always shedding old skins. In Pluto, it shows a powerful need to transform through bold risks and disguised blessings. This person's greatest power lies in embracing change and daring to reinvent, but they must beware the trickster archetype within and instead channel their cleverness into healing and evolution. The Jack of Spades is the card of the spiritual initiate, the trickster card, the thief on the low side. But here, under Pluto, where it's about ego, transformation, death, it's about an initiation into a higher order. Jack is a court card. Spades is the last suit. Spades is about spirituality. So here they can use the tremendous creativity that is part of the Jack of Spades to transform themselves. And creativity doesn't necessarily mean painting fancy pictures, being involved in art, but their mind power. Here connected to the spiritual side. To invent things, to change things, because that's Jack's energy. To improve things, Jack energy. To be youthful, useful by being youthful. Bringing youthful energy in there, not aging, but bringing fresh ideas in all the time. In the realm of lifestyle, health, work, Spades energy in general. Embracing change and daring to reinvent. Jack energy. Constant reinvention. Because they are powering, in a way, the queen and the king that then emerge from the more androgynous Jack. But always on the low side, they have to guard, because Pluto can throw them a fat curveball, especially with that Jack of Spades in there. That they don't want to grow up, they don't want to take responsibility, they want to trick people because they're clever. The 9 of Clubs has come out of the 8 of Clubs. They know things, but they're not getting away with it, and shouldn't, and won't. And that is also because of the 6 of Hearts and Saturn. Sort of instant payback, karma on the emotional side. Remember, this person learns through emotional consequences. If they wrong someone, it shows up fast and strong. And that in the context here of the Jack of Spades in Pluto. All right, altogether, this planetary spread shows someone who is here to close a mental chapter for themselves and for others. The 9 of Clubs is not afraid to think things through to the end, and these planetary cards only strengthen their journey, pushing them to love deeply, lead wisely, balance karmic ties, and eventually become a voice of authentic transformation. There's grace in completion, and in that the 9 of Clubs finds its truest power. Beautiful card, challenging in one way, but then as they get older, they grow into their responsibility and into the mastery. And in fact, they've got 2 black 9s, but they also have 2 red kings there. So there's a negative portal in a way in the early in life, but then there's a positive portal that brings them into mastery of the emotional realm and the material realm. And what more could one ask for? And if they play that Jack of Spades and Pluto right, then there's a tremendous creativity that can but does reinvent itself all the time, and does this for the benefit of others too. And that's where the reward under the King of Diamonds and Jupiter comes from. And that's it. I hope you liked it. We actually managed to stay under 30 minutes, and that's probably due to the very short explanation in Uranus. But once again, I refer to my app, Sacred Symbols, on the App Store and the Play Store. Free download, free to use. But if you value these long-form extended explanations of each of the cards, then please reward me with a subscription or a one-time payment in the app. And then you get even more features unlocked. And it's really worth it. And again, it's actually a no-brainer. It's a cup of coffee a month. Not a day, not a week, a month. Until now. Talking of, or dated July 30th, 2025. The prices may go up because there's such immense value in that app. And $2 a month certainly do not do it justice. But initially, I'd like to make it available to as many people as possible. Then again, I think the price doesn't really matter if you think about it, and if I can share this piece of wisdom and experience, because those people who value the things will be able to pay, and will not be able, but are willing to pay for it, and will pay for it. So if you think that you can go in with a low price, you are mistaken. I'm busy learning that lesson. And that's why the price will go up. Those who have gotten their subscription at this price will keep at it. No, that you don't say this in English. Those who have subscribed at the current price, which is in US dollars, and it may differ regionally, about $2 a month, maybe €2.30, something like that. They will stay at that rate. But later on, the price will certainly go up, because the more value that is being presented, the more that should be reflected in the actual price of the application. But this is how you can say thank you. If you at the moment the video is on YouTube, probably for a short period of time, because I have the shorts and I have the podcast style versions, and I may actually complete this series here of the extended format, but that may not survive for long here on YouTube and be moved elsewhere, maybe as part of a course, or behind some paywall. We shall see. But as you're watching this now, you're enjoying it, still free of charge on YouTube. But then again, try to keep it balanced. Say thank you, and there's a very inexpensive way to do this, but you can also go a little more expensive if you desire. The options are on the table, and so are the cards. Helmar Rudolph once again says thank you for your attention, remains as always with peace and blessings, and we'll see each other again with the power card, the teacher's card, the 10 of clubs. Bye-bye.